Hello, hello. So, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning. Um, Sebastian from Beekeeping Gardening. We have guest here, Rob.
Hi there.
Uh, Hi, Rob. And we were talking about a little bit about beekeeping, a little bit about what Rob help us all of beekeepers and bees, about Varroa, the worst thing in the beekeeping. And I like what he done, and I believe this is really important for us. What Rob doing and his team. Uh, he will later give us little details what he's doing and what he's done and how he done it. Why I will ask you, but
I
it's
ask myself that quite often.
well, yeah, I asked myself why didn't I start beekeeping few years early and that. So this is it was a question for
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Sometimes you're going back and thinking why I didn't done that before and
hmm
starting now. It's a long story. So, Rob, can you give us a little bit your back story details when you starting beekeeping?
Yeah, so I got into beekeeping pretty randomly. So I actually have do IT as a day job. I've done that for years and years now. And so beekeeping really is a curveball now when I tell people I do IT and bees. So the way that this whole thing came up was one day I decided I'd like gardening. I was like I like the thought of being able to produce my own food and know where it comes from and the importance and all that. And my family had a garden for as long as I can remember. I know my grandfather's had it for a long time in the same place. And basically that was my mom has now taken on the responsibility and the drive to maintain said garden. And uh so I started dibbling with it a little bit. I was doing a lot of like cucumbers and all this kind of thing. I was trying to scale something from that, but I was having fun
Yeah,
with it. I was
yeah,
engaging myself as much as I can with that. And I happened to, in doing that, I started growing things indoors, right? On grow trays and racks with
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
lighting
yeah.
and the whole spiel, right? So among doing that, I tried to grow strawberries indoors. And if you know, like I know, they need pollinators.
Of
So if you've
course.
ever if you've ever tried to do that, you actually will learn that strawberries turn a certain way. Well, most berries look a certain way if they do
Yeah,
not become
yeah, yeah,
pollinated.
yeah, yeah.
And it's very unique, and you kind of have to see it to understand. But I was cutting the grass one day, and I was walking back our hedgerow of blackberry bushes,
Yeah.
and I just happened to look at one of these flowers, and I was like, I've seen this before. I know we need pollinators, and for whatever the reason, I was like, all right, I'm getting a box of bees,
Like
and
boom.
and that was it. And
Yeah,
I watched maybe 3 or 4 hours within 1 week of YouTube videos of like the basics, and I was like, oh, I can do this. I can figure this out. And
yeah,
I went locally and bought my first box of bees, and the guy was like, "Have you ever been in a beehive before?" And I was like, "Nope, but I want to learn." So like, I'm just gonna. And he was
yeah.
nice enough. He like put me in a bee suit there and then, and put me in one of his beehives, and like gave me the whole spiel. And him and I are still real good buddies to this day. I attend all the club meetings with him and stuff. I drive a good distance just to go to his club to hang out with him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so that's where the very first box came from. And that was
So,
actually in the fall time. So
yeah.
blackberries had already bloomed.
Lot
And
of
then
stuff.
from there
Yeah.
into springtime, I focused on YouTube, learning as much as I could. And then I went crazy the next year.
So, I stop you, Robert, Rob, for 1 second. Time is
hmm
honey. Hi. Yeah. Well, we're talking about gardening. I actually got similar start with you.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm in growing vegetables, and I grown quite a lot of vegetables, and it was few years back, and I was just like, well, I need to start the beekeeping because I always trying to do, always planning to do, and always, maybe next year, maybe next year.
hmm
And I
hmm
was growing something, and I actually the pollination was so important. Like you mentioned about strawberries, And I was like, whoa, I think it's a time to do something about this because I see we have all of the hair problem with pollinating in there. Nothing is properly pollinated because we don't have the bees in there in this area. I said we need the bees in there to get the job. So I bring someone.
Yeah.
From one is
Hmm.
26.
That's
So,
how it
but that's
happens.
that
That's how it
that's few
happens.
years. That's few years now. But yeah, I try and expand more, but slowly. Not I'm not
Hmm.
getting like rocket science crazy. Just slowly.
Yeah.
But everything I have to get in the place in my apiary. So I don't go in like some people. Oh, I know you could make it from 20, 150, no problem. That's
Hmm.
easy done. But you look into a lot of things, equipment, how you manage them in the winter, and how much cost it will be, Varroa treatment, and all of the stuff. So people doesn't need understand. Uh, you know, we are like back garden beekeepers, but if
Yep.
we if we jump up to 100 highs, we can jump down, no problem, because that's easy done. It's just the costage of equipment, of Varroa treatment, of feeding them in the winter. People thinks I understand people going for. They do go and jump up and for they're going for bee farming. That's what we call here bee farming. So commercial beekeepers. But yeah, I that's what I think. Everybody can go for that. So
Hmm.
and you know yourself, you start from one and hello Castle Hive, hello Brian. So yeah, so well, that's a good start. You did, as you mentioned, right? You start actually from pollination and strawberries. This is really interesting. A lot of
Yeah,
people doesn't
indoors,
know.
and I learned a
Yeah,
hard lesson, and it was neat. And now I've actually learned after being in the neighborhood and all that stuff, and talking to some of the people because we're in a pretty residential area where we
yeah,
have our shop, and lo and behold, 2 streets over, there was a neighbor that used to have bees for like 15 years or something like that, and they had stopped about the time where I had started keeping bees. So. They really needed bees in that area, and
oh
that
yeah.
it just kind of worked out that I had kind of filled that void when they stopped beekeeping.
Oh, so you've been working full time as well, yeah? Like
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so this
so
is making the vaporizers and stuff. That was never our goal. I started the business after doing all the research. It's like I'm gonna do queen rearing. I'm gonna sell my nukes and
yeah,
honey, and that was the business model. And then I needed something to treat for Varroa, and I didn't want to spend the money on some of these big competitors.
yeah,
And I ended up, long story short, making one, but we can get into all that. So that was how it went. So everything was designed to be a part-time gig. So all the
yeah,
family now helps me out in their part-time. We all have day jobs. Um, and it's nice because it doesn't require me to have a super high price with a lot of overhead where I
yeah,
can make things affordable to hobbyist level beekeepers.
yeah.
Um, it works out pretty well.
Absolutely, it's very important. You got the support from all of the family, and
Yeah.
it's a really key game on this because that's a lot of work you got to do and researching stuff. So yeah, but that's a really important thing you done and move on for this is I'm really pleased you actually done this because that's of you're learning things and you decide, okay, we need to do something with Varroa treatment, and you actually
Hmm.
make something really important where a lot of beekeepers from US and maybe in UK, maybe in different parts of the world, they will have massive benefit of that, and that's really important. And that's a really good story. You come from back beekeeper, you're not industry, like some 20, 50 people researching how to do this
Right.
machine
Yep.
vaporizer. You're just the one person who actually doing this job, which is incredible. Well done. That's massive.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate it.
also, it's massive support you have right now already from beekeepers in the United States, which is really important to your business growing and your beekeeping keep them up nicely. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed the journey. I feel like as a beekeeper, without having a team of beekeepers, you can only have but so many beehives, and those beehives can only service a certain radius of pollination that they can do per hive. So my theory is I can only help the environment, but so much with my bees. That's the reality.
Mm.
So I was like, if by me selling this device, we did about 2,000 units last year, and that's 2,000 beekeepers. Generally, we'll say 95% of them are within the states, but all
Yeah,
those beekeepers were allowed to maintain happy and healthy hives that were,
absolutely.
with reduced Varroa numbers. So,
Yeah,
our reach goes so much further. So now it's a much more personal mission to see the success of bees, in those categories.
yeah, yeah. It's so important because I was researching this. Well, from last year, I was researching by over winter, and I was trying to buy it, but I was thinking which one I'm going to buy, which one I got massive researching to do this.
Hmm.
So I decided in the last minutes. I said, "Well, I need to get a gas one in this moment. I'm
Hmm.
going to buy your one as well because I like this such a stuff, and was looking researching this. But in this moment,
Hmm.
what I was looking, and I need a right now to using this correctly because I was, when you're researching what you going to use for Varroa. Are you
Hmm.
going to do some strips, or you going to use this? I was really researching massively on Varroa. This is something very important in my APU. In my operation, this is it's the key game. If you don't go treat properly on Varroa, your winter's over. So
Right. Yep.
a lot of people doesn't understand how important it is. So yes, absolutely. Uh, I'm so pleased you done this. So higher horizontal hive.
So yeah,
Yes.
so the Varroa mite itself, the oxalic acid, if you try treating during warmer months when you have brood, you can't ever guarantee 100% kill. You
No.
you can get
No.
high percentages, but you're never going to get every mite that's under every cap cell.
No.
It's
No.
not feasible. So having a couple things like Frederick Dunn was talking about in the live chat on Castle Hives. He was talking about
Yep.
he keeps I think it was quick strips. I may be wrong there, but he keeps them on hand for any hive
Yep.
that's got a high light mode during those times. So
Yep.
so there's definitely some you have to have a plan, and it's really about
Of course.
maintenance and ongoing maintenance. You don't change oil in your car and then do it once and you're good. You have to keep a
Absolutely.
plan and
Yeah.
and keep up with that.
So I in UK we're using not I using apiboxol, which is oxalic acids, but that's what we have to using by law in here.
Hmm.
So but before I did use it, I using this year. Well, last year I using straight away after we moved bees in operation to different place to use ApiGuard. So Bob been using as well, and I know he
Hmm.
mentioned quite heavily on about using ApiGuard, but using in correct time. Really,
Yep.
really crucial. And I done it, and I was quite nice mite drops was there straight
Hmm.
away. And then I said when they're broodless, that's what they will have the apivoxal, which is this oxalic acid, and that's what I did. I hit 3 times every 5 days, exactly every 5 days. And
Hmm.
after first one was really, well, it was really my jobs. I was
Hmm.
like, whoa, that is. I think I catch them perfectly broodless, and then I done in the second one the same thing, and the third time was little tiny, and I was like, oh, that's good. And I done it just now, no week ago. I done it
Hmm.
one more, and now I'm just leave them to spring, and I will do that probably in round up of spring. Well, I will see. I will have a look if that's worth to do or not. I will do might wash, and we'll see. But
Yeah. So that's basically what I do when I treat my bees. I always do a treatment, wait 24 hours, and I actually have a piece of like a political sign, the corrugated board
yeah,
that I put in the bottom of the hive, and you can slide it out and check and see how many mites have fallen and all. So that's
that's
how
what
I
I have.
check, and you can see treatment by treatment by treatment how the the hive is improving. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I definitely do that. I don't do any of the alcohol washes or sugar rolls like I should. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people do, but my thing is oxalic acid won't hurt. And if I
No.
have a gauge of how much brood I have in the hive at the time when I do the treatment
Yeah.
test per se, I can gauge the hive pretty good based on that. And you're not going to hurt them with oxalic acid.
No.
So that's my rule of thumb. That's just what I've kind of converted to because it's easy and it gives me a hard number on every single hive in my
Yeah.
row.
Yeah.
So that's just my take. But also being somebody who we sell a product, I want to run it as much as I can to try and find flaws and
Yeah.
improvements I can make and everything else. So as much seat time as I can get on the vaporizer, the better off we'll be.
Absolutely. Well, I basically we have the same floor. A checking board. I have underneath hive, so I could check every drop mite correctly what's in there. The only
Hmm.
problem you have check mite drops when you have full floor, which is that's where you need check. But that's I always know what's going on because you could see if you have 12 hives in one place or 15, you easily find out if it's all of them quite similar mic drop. There's definitely all of them got the same mic drop. So yeah. What I will ask you, do you have? I will put on a website on our link after your website to if anybody wants something or well, the shopping or anything. I will put on my YouTube on underneath this live chat. We'll put on there your link to the website. So if anybody
Sweet.
from UK or Ireland who wanna fancy try, I believe that's possible to send out. I'm right.
Yeah, we do ship we ship a lot. I mean, I had units in Ireland and Switzerland and I've got units in like Israel and all kind of really into Costa Rica. We've got some interesting places that we ship to. The only problem is right now we only have a 110 volt unit. So it's a three-pronged US 110
Yeah.
120 volt technically. So that's the only hesitation because some have I think it's 240 is the normal plug, 220, 240, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So as long as the power requirement is correct, then you'll be just fine. And there's some guys who buy a different inverter just to run our units and those kind of things. But that's really the piece. The other piece is why we highlight on the U.S. so much is shipping domestic for us is so much more affordable. So if something was to act up, if you were to to get water on the unit by mistake or
Yeah.
so, something like that, it's
That's
very easy
possible. Yeah.
for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens. You get caught in a
Yeah.
rainstorm,
Yeah.
whatever. It's very easy for us to get parts out, right? So
Oh
that's
yeah.
it does make things harder when buy from overseas and stuff. So um, it is possible. There's a lot of people who do it, but when things go wrong, getting parts can be a headache. So it's just something to realistically, I like to keep all the cards on the table. So it's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Rob, we have question here. It's come from horizontal hives. It's a can you over treatment for mites in your opinion?
So the University of Georgia, I believe, has done tests up to 8 grams a box. I think maybe it was 8 grams a hive or 8 grams a box. It was a lot of acid that they were treating,
Yeah, they
and
did. Yeah.
they
Jennifer.
basically and they basically showed no negative results from that. And
Yeah.
the U.S. label, I don't know what it's like overseas, but the U.S. label is 2 grams per dose or per hive. It doesn't really break it down per box, even though some beekeepers do.
Mm.
Um, so per the label, no. So now the question is, if you get a better um, return on your treatment, if you treat with more acid, they say that more mites will drop because there's more OA in the hive. But
Yeah.
if you put 8 grams into a box every time, will they build up a tolerance? Right now they're not at 2 grams, but if you put too much in the hive, could they? So,
Mm.
so that's really the testing that's going on right now is they've basically proven that you can't overtreat the hive, but what are the long-term effects of overtreatment just in case?
Yes, Brian mentioned here as well for Ricky. There are 2 4 grams every 5 days treatment. They did test on. Jennifer. I know they did because I was watching this the Varroa Jennifer from Georgia. I'm watching quite
Hmm.
heavily on this because this is really important for us. This is a science for the beekeepers, and Bob does a fantastic job as well with this. Keep him updating us everything on subject on Varroa of the oxalic acid, how we should be treating and what they're doing, testing on the bees and everything. This is really. I'm waiting for Kamon when Kamon have his yard
Hmm.
doing because you if you
Yeah.
remember Kamon have his yard testing yard. It's
Yeah, I think he was going to do it pretty big this year, but I think
yeah
the conference kind of just made him too busy. I'm not too sure. I am pretty
mm,
anxious for that because we had
yeah
I think I kicked him a vaporizer for that. I'm not sure, but I am very excited to see how
yeah.
all that pans out because there's that kind of testing needs to happen in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's got over 100 hives, I think. If I'm right there. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting as well, like yourself. See what he's got in there. I know he's been busy with the hive conference, and right now I see he's coming back with beekeeping back to normal. And so I
Yeah.
believe no long we might see some update about the Varroa treatment and how he does in there, what they do testing in there, which that'd be very interesting. Um, so back to the. So how many hives you running now, Rob?
So last year I think we had like mid 30s, something like that. It fluctuates because I hit a certain point and then I sell hives and it
Hmm.
fluctuates. So this year my goal is about 20. We've downsized quite a bit. I'm getting some more hives from Greg Burns. He's out in Ohio. So I'm gonna drive. It's like an 8-hour drive for me. So I'm gonna go pick up some bees from him, tab bees from his stock. So I'm hoping to maintain about 20. That seems to be like the good number for me.
Yeah, because you could run the business and also you could run the
Yeah.
bees.
Right. It's all about balance, and
Yeah,
everybody wants a
fair.
ton of bees. It's kind of like a bug.
Yeah,
Like once you have your
I
first box, you're like, I gotta have this whole row of. But the reality is, I just you run out of time, and then I want to be able to be successful with all of them. So you have to.
absolutely.
I have to kind of limit things a little bit.
But I believe the same thing. What you just said. It's got you have to get the balance. It's not point to planning get like we I was mentioned before get 100, but then you can manage this everything because there's everything. Um, you know, you have to get cash flow on this and everything. So this is quite big job to do this.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's I
And
I commend the guys who do it. I could I do it if that was my only, it's if that was my only thing, I didn't have vaporizers and didn't have a day job and I had buku money to, buy all the boxes and stuff. Sure, you could, but that's a hard job. I mean, it
yeah,
is the full-time guys who have hundreds of hives, like I commend them. It is a job, but they have different strategies. Like you and I can experiment more at our size
yeah. Oh,
and
absolutely.
and theirs all have to be well, it's a certain price per box and they,
Yeah,
they price everything out really specifically where you and I could be like, well, I want to experiment with this one or these few and see how they
yeah.
overwinter or so it's
So
hard to do those at scale.
I really give you a little bit on my side because you don't know
Sure.
me. So I do few years beekeeping now, and in here we have different hives. So we have national hives, and then we have Langstroths, and we have hives from Listen, which is
Okay.
from
Yeah.
you know
Mm-hmm.
from Poland. So it's different sizes of different frames and everything. So I was starting from nationals, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll start nationals, and I was
Are they
get
bigger or smaller?
well. Then the smaller frames, they're a lot smaller. So
Okay.
this, well, you can have his another one. It's national by 1412. It's quite big frame, 14 inches by 12 inches. That's
Okay.
quite big frames. But
Hmm.
I like them the nationals that for size. But what I'm going to the point, I start doing Langstroth. Since I started on Langstroth, I'm learning a huge difference in beekeeping and the bees, how the bees are performing in the hive, in the boxes. It's just completely different world.
Hmm.
So I'm moving out a little bit now from the nationals. I have some of nationals, but I try and moving out to completely from and get just the Langstroths only, because on the Langstroth is all commercial beekeepers, bee farmers. They all on the Langstroth. Same as in United States, they all guys pick like Bruce or other people. They take him bees to the almond pollination. They all
Yeah. So they drive to
all
the West Coast. Yeah.
I won't come into that point. I using basically Langstroth because it's all easy for me. It's all one same frames, and
Hmm.
also you manage them and everything. So yeah, it's
So
a so
Langstroth is your preferred?
yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely I will not change that. I like the commercial, but like little bit bigger frames,
Hmm.
but between. But I like this ones, and I will not change it because you put money for this already equipment for the equipment you have and everything. So for me, it's really important. And also, so in my beekeeping, is little bit. I'm working full time as well,
Hmm.
so it's management. I got 4 kids at home, so it's quite a busy time in the year when
Yeah.
season start kicking out. And for me, we start preparation slowly, everything. You got some already prep, some things with preparation. Most of the frames now, like I did message you, I actually been doing trying to do little bit boxes today, supers, because we done here on the supers because it's like dandelions kicking out. So then if dandelions kicking out, they will not fill up in that time because the temperature weather here and rain. So we have to
Hmm.
get like between you brood box. There might be fill up the brood box
Hmm.
on the hive. If it's in the time in the spring, they might not.
I
So for
see.
me,
I see.
so for supers that are perfect, they fill up. Okay, this is dandelion honey or rapeseed oil or whatever
Hmm.
canola, whatever you want. You got more balance in them. So I using the
Hmm.
supers instead using brood boxes. Our brood box I using only for nest and rest are using same. So, but
Gotcha.
I was planning to change everything on the one frame. It will be
Yeah,
much
and
easy.
I did that, and it is easier, but they get really heavy. So it's a lot of pros and cons. But
Yeah.
I did run exactly your setup where I had honey supers, and I do all deeps now. It's just kind of my thing that I've gotten into. But again, I don't do any real volume of honey where we are. It's more
Mm,
bees. So I
yeah.
I do so many splits and all that stuff. So I have very few hives that I don't break down any amount out of pull bees from them that actually will be good honey producers. And those boxes, you're talking a box that's 80, 90 pounds easily. And they get pretty heavy to pick up, especially when
Oh
you're
yeah.
lugging a couple of them around all day to get them extracted. It can get pretty heavy on you. So there are pluses and minuses. I do feel like I get more honey out of those boxes. I don't know why. That could just be because I feel like it's a heavier box, but with
Mm.
the supers I carry more of them. I don't know, but just personally I feel like they do a little bit better.
Oh yeah, they're quite heavy.
Yeah.
I did a test last year. One of on the header honey, which is in September, October we have here in UK.
Mhm.
And I tell you what, I make a big mistake. They fill up,
Mhm.
and even I put not 10 frames. I put 9 frames in there. I make a little bit bigger spaces in there.
Mhm.
And I just said, "Oh, that's full. That's fully." I took a frame up. I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." I didn't lift it before that heavy, uh, and it was probably up to my chest. Um,
Ah.
yes,
And
and
you're
I
leaning
lift it.
back really hard trying to. Yep.
Yeah,
I've been
I
there.
could
Yep.
not even move. I was like, "No way." But that was just example, and that was really good queen as well. I was really
Yeah.
shocked how quick they fill up and everything. It was really interesting. And that was learning for me straight away. And I was like, wow, I don't think so. I'm going for the big boxes
Right.
for
Right.
the honey because I will need to go crane to lift this up because that is a heavy.
Yeah.
So
They
that's
they get
why I'm using
really heavy.
Yeah, that's why I'm using super. It's easy, more easy for me for my operation here,
Hmm.
and also and storage them easily for me as well. So the only thing you could have it's people will say, oh, you're running two frames. I know it's you could always make a split if something happened in the nest. You can make a lot of things in there. If you know what you're doing, then it's easy to make. I know some. Um, I trying to get double brood on my hives this
Hmm.
year. I done a couple of last year. I'm going back to all double brood every hive. I
Hmm.
trying to.
Hmm.
It's that is the power of the bee. If you want to get honey, I was. We probably listen as well, Ian.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it and double brood, that is the power. Or Ian does the put in his operation the nooks,
Hmm.
three nooks,
Yeah.
and make
Yeah.
it like
That
a
is a
one colony.
fascinating process he does. It's like a
That's
science. It's pretty sweet.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
that's and that's what we need to do. We have to work in like the bees. The bees know. So today is a nice maybe day. We say, oh, another 4 or 5 weeks is spring coming. But
Hmm.
look, the bees know 2 weeks before they get kicked out from the hives, they start doing work. We don't know this. We just we're trying to observe. We're trying to get science on there. What when they're gonna start. What they will weather will be like. And like
Right.
Ian and all the guys, they're doing a lot of science in there. What to do with the hives and how to kick out them the colonies, get them ready. There's
Hmm.
everything behind work done behind the I would say the plan program what they have, and that's
Hmm.
that's that's the important thing in the part. Um, what what's the new model what you done? What's the difference between the
So
you got
we
me
have the
next to your hand somewhere?
I don't I'm trying to look. I've got a couple of them. I'm not sure if let me check this one desk. Give me one
That's
sec. Let
okay.
me see
That's fine.
see if I have one. I do not. So um all right. Let me think how to describe this. So let me grab one. This is yeah. So yeah, this one's got to get some work done. But basically, this is our normal one. Plugs in the back of the box, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure you've seen some videos or something
yeah, I
like
did.
that.
Yes,
So
of course. So
so the new one moves the heater element up. The stem goes with a bigger diameter out of the bottom to allow, and it interferes with this. So this it's been modified with a notch in it.
yeah,
Um, so basically, and it's got a curl on the inside of it. Oh, it's got a curl on the inside, like a
yeah,
90 inside the bowl. So you won't have any, boiling acid just flowing right out or anything like that. So it's really designed to treat through the front entrance. It doesn't have any it's very hard to do through the back. I like personally treating through the back of the hives. I find that not all the hives, but some hives when you treat them with OA will has some bees will come out. I don't know,
yeah,
it just some don't care that they get treated, some come out of the front. That's just how it goes. Um but I personally don't like if you can stay out of that path, that's why I treat through the back of the hives.
yeah,
But I get a lot of questions to treat through the front, especially by the commercial guys, because they don't want to drill all the holes.
yeah,
Because while that doesn't seem like a big task for you and I, if you've got a couple hundred hives, that's a couple hundred holes. It all that time adds up, right? So it's the
yeah,
same thing where you and I get to experiment more than they do. So that's why we have this second model that's coming out to kind of help those people. I'll still use the one that treats to the back. It will, I believe, always be my preferred method. Um, but yeah, so that's the skinny of it.
Well, I tried this well last year before Christmas. I tried to once a couple of highs from the top.
Hmm.
So I lift the roof up, just to gently lift it up, and I'll make everything so make sure it doesn't get outside. Trying to,
Uh huh.
and I put it in there, and it was perfect because
Mm,
I lift it. Yeah. So because the I would say my word, we would say the cloud is going up and it's going down. The oxalic acid is going down
Mhm.
after. So it's when we do on the front, everything is going up, right? Everything
Mhm.
is going up on top and it stay, and then it's going down, slowly down, slowly down. When the bees uh working in there, they're going down and down. So
Mhm.
so I try and go from the top because I was something I did see somewhere, and I just like thinking, wow, I maybe try a couple and we see what's how is it different. And then I check it out about 10 minutes later. I just lift up one of the boxes, just lift it up just to check up how is that in there. It was all clouded and everywhere, so it was that telling me that's still good, but I do prefer from myself from the front
Hmm.
because you don't need to drill holes
Yeah, yeah. And
and
that is the downside of, treating through the back. You have to, put a hole in your box. So it is a commitment to do that, and not everybody wants to do that. And I do understand it, which is why, we're making the second one to aid
like
people in that.
like Eric said, yeah, the back of the hive works best for me. Then I add the golf tee and the hole when it's done.
Yeah, he plugs the hole with a golf tee so
Yeah,
they don't propolize it closed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's this is good idea as well.
Yeah, that's a lot better than mine. I just use a roofing nail. I just
You just
when
put
I
in
when
the
I when I drilled the first holes, that was what I had handy, and I was like, that'll work.
oh
So,
you Ricky take a lot of golf balls from Tiger Woods.
yep,
Uh, well, that's a good idea. Wow,
yep.
that's that's something where we got challenge everybody. If it's like you mentioned, Rob. People do treating for 20 hives or 10 hives. It's different when you're
It
treating
is.
a
It is.
hundred, and the guys need to speed up, especially when they got like 3,000 or 4,000. That is really speed.
Mhm.
So I was actually listening one of the bee farmer here in UK how they doing.
Mhm.
They have 4,000 hives and they've been doing like in about a few days they've been doing a treatment of all of them. I was listening to this webinar. It was really interesting to me
Mhm.
how they're doing this because that apply again to quite know how to do this, and also front hives because you can do back, especially when you have lots of nooks
Right.
and
Right.
also
Right.
hives. So it was really interesting for me. It was really how the in the big scale how they're using. But I did
Mhm.
saw one of the pictures you put on the Twitter before Christmas. I was shocked. It was cloud everywhere. It was there was about 50 nooks in there, and it
Yeah.
was all cloud in there everywhere.
Oh wow. Wow.
So yeah, so that
Wow.
they do proper job there and quite
Hmm.
quite speedy. Like you say, the big guys they need a front. They just
Yeah.
put in and they just keep going for next one and next one. Um, and so that's how they doing. So, did you sell any? Did you have any in UK customers already, or
Um.
in your top
I,
of your head, if you
I
remember?
don't. I don't know. I feel like we had one or two, but I can't remember the
Yeah.
specifics. I remember
No,
something
just
about it. But like I said, I we'll ship them wherever, as long as
yeah,
people have the power requirements. But the big thing is, it's a lot more for me than just a vaporizer. So it's really the customer service and quality
yeah,
behind the scenes. If something goes bad, I want to be able to easily get parts, or maybe I need to, for those people, have a package where they get some spare parts up front, or
yeah,
just in case, rather than pay import duties or whatever all over again.
yeah,
um so it's those kind of things, which is why, I we do ship outside of the states, but the states is really our main market, just because of the customer
yeah.
service side. It makes it hard, and
Of
it's
course, yeah.
difficult.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's but yeah, but that's a good to know. If anybody wants, guys, I would put link underneath this live chat. You could contact directly through up. or you could
Yep.
go on his website. You have all the details will be on the website, and I'm sure you could go there and find out more information about Rob. So
Yeah, man.
uh, time to do some farm work. Oh wow, Rick, Ricky, it's not too cold to get farm work done yet. Ricky's going working today. Um, yeah. So back to the things that what made you interesting now. So you still growing stuff? Anything you growing?
Um, Not right now, just because of how our weather is.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll always have blackberries.
Mm,
Come springtime, we'll do the normal like zucchinis, string beans, squash.
yeah.
Those
Oh,
kind
big
of
squash, big squash.
asparagus. Yeah. So those kind of things will always be, in the garden. I over the years will get into the like I tried garlic over winter.
Yeah.
Um, I forget, there were a whole bunch that I got into, but yeah, Castle
Well,
Hives has a lot of snow.
oh yeah,
I've seen some pictures. He's really got a lot.
he's so happy. He started digging snow for preparation for cucumbers now.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
he started going planting cucumbers no long.
He doesn't have to water them, that's for sure.
No, there will be plenty of water for them. They love water. It's a free as well. They need
Yeah.
to work. Um, yeah. Well, I grew basically a lot of stuff. I don't know. Did you see on my pictures? Some of my pictures on there.
I saw a
I'm not
couple. I haven't. I've been really
Yeah.
busy recently, but yeah.
So yeah, I grew a lot of stuffs. We do last year we need to be coming down a little bit. We were doing a lot of stuff and for bees, and I've been busy work as well. So we need to be get down. But this year we get back already. Start prep everything slowly. And we grew a lot. We grew cucumbers and everything. I mean, most of the
Nice.
vegetables we grew was for home, but I also do for growing for competitions, which is quite
Do you do like the size
yeah.
competitions? Yeah,
Oh yes, yeah. Well,
that's pretty neat.
yeah, you should probably see in United States there's a huge pumpkins growing
I've seen
big
the big pumpkins. I have seen the big pumpkins, but
yeah.
I've seen all overseas. It's like they have like zucchini and squash, and they're like, huge, and
Yeah, well,
it's quite impressive.
but it's well we got like a zucchini is huge because it was right now it's 255 pound. It was the world record zucchini. So it's a massive, we're talking, 2-man job, lift it up.
Yeah.
So I grew,
Wow.
yeah, I grew 150, nearly 160 pound was close. So that was
You
heavy.
know, my zucchini is like 2 pounds, and I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
Two, not 200. Two.
Two, yeah. Well, we we basically I grew them with no any problems. They 100 pound they growing like
Yeah.
no problem at all. But we do cantaloupe. We grew a lot of stuffs in there. I have seeds from state,
Hmm.
from the guys from friends from state, where the olive growers as well. We growing a lot of stuff. They have some my seeds going there as well. This year I'm going to try the longest cucumber because the seeds I have is quite. Well, it's
Wow.
yeah, it's a big. It's the friend of mine. He's growing them for 3 years now,
Hmm.
and I have them 2 years ago. I could grow, but I didn't get in place to get them growing because they need
Right.
a lot of space. They are 98 centimeters, which is nearly 1 meter long cucumber. Man, we're talking big size. That is.
That.
Uh,
Wow.
yes,
That's really
and
hard to.
and
I
there's
mean, my cucumbers are like this.
yeah, and his world record is 100, 1 meter 5 centimeters. So
Wow.
yeah, so
Wow.
he's not far away. But I'm going to try these seeds because if I got them, I got a couple of them, so I would try grow them, see what's the common effect on them. And I know a lot of guys in United States they said, oh, this is something what they would love to grow. I know a
Yeah.
lot of pumpkin growers down there. we have lots of beekeepers over there,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's a really interesting. I'm not just a beekeeping. I'm doing a lot of gardening as well.
Mhm,
I work in around. I helping a lot of growers for for last few years. Lots of growers. I've been doing seeds for free and all the stuff that we've been doing to get support in the gardening is getting up. I got a little project this year. I don't want to do this, and
mhm.
I'm going to say it now with you, so you will know.
Okay.
My project is something where all of we, you will agree with me. A lot of beekeepers say, "Oh, we didn't have forage this year. We have 2 weeks break." So what we should do? We should help the bees. So if you have little land, I know Cayman was mentioned about something about mentioned about. I was watching one of his video. I think it was last year video, and he was mentioning when he was in the field. He said this field used to be uh, canola, a lot of canola growing there, a lot of stuffs in there. He said these days there's not much growing in there. But if people got the land, people should a little bit try and planning something where the forage, you got 2 weeks nothing. I would say it's completely dead. The bees you need sometimes feed them.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
think it's really crucial to try and find out if you have little land in there, if you could little support the bees, because at the end of the day, we are for help the bees. If we don't help them in a time when they don't have nothing to bring into the hives, they will basically die.
mhm.
They will not survive until to the summer
Yeah.
because
So this
they
brings up a very interesting piece. So we're very similar in a lot of ways. So
yeah
I worked a deal with a local guy to me for I think it was 3 acres or so of land. And I basically went in and said, I want to lease the land, but I want it for the bees. I know there's a price to be paid for it, and and anyway, so I went and worked a deal with him, and he basically said, if you buy the implements for the tractor, you can use my tractor and as much land as you want to plant for free.
wow,
I was like, wow. It's
that's a
like,
good
and
deal.
he said, but you have to keep bees here. I was like, well, I mean, I'm a beekeeper. I'm going to keep bees here. That's a given. He goes, okay. So I think this year, and I'll document it a lot better. I only posted a few pictures on my Facebook this past year, but
That's a good
I think it's gonna be like 2 acres or so of sunflower, because the way that our dearth is, it's like in the fall-ish time, late
yeah
summer, fall time, is when we experience ours. So I'm targeting that the sunflower will bloom close to, if not in that window,
yeah
if
yeah.
things go right. So yeah, we do about those things as well. I find that
Well,
really fun. I like driving tractors and stuff. I don't know why. That's fun to me.
well, I grew on the farm, so I basically know how to drive tractors as well. I love that, but that right now I can't do this here, so it's not. But you could get research. It's called green minura. It's Facilia.
Okay.
That's a very good nectar for bees. Do nectar quite heavily on this. I'm
I'm
going to
I'm
send
gonna
you.
I'm gonna pull the. Oh, you're gonna send it to me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the name now, so you could.
Okay. Sweet.
Because I'm doing this from. Second, let me go. Just a second.
While he's typing, Brian, have you made it out to your bees to clear entrances yet in your 26 to 30 inches? That would probably be an interesting little clip to take of you making that venture to go clear entrances.
Seconds. So Facilia is really good. Basically, is you will basically got their growth so quick.
Hmm.
I just send you on there.
Yeah, I just heard it.
Yeah. So you could open, you have a look. You might see that in. So basically, that green manure Facilia is going to be so good because growing so fast. It probably in if it's nice warm temperatures, you probably get about 3 to 4 weeks, they'll be green. They'll be
Mm-hmm.
probably a few inches going out, like wow, in your eyes. Probably a
Hmm.
month time or 2 months. I would say in
Yeah.
2 months you will receive a flowers and they start flowering. And there's a
Hmm.
quite nice steady flowering in there for Celia, and
Hmm.
it give it quite honey is absolutely amazing on this. Absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
Well, my bees is on the farm as well. I have one of my yard which is on the farmers, which is
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to expand over there April, and I already make a deal with him as well. So it's no chance, nobody going in there,
Mm-hmm.
anybody, and also CCTV everywhere down there. So I'm really pleased. There's over there everything, and then he's grew a massive amount of Facilia, and I know I did grow last year, and I tell you what, the bees have massive support for me because yeah, I grew on a garden and there was just you just walking next to that and it was buzzing. It was this Facilia was really buzzing. You could see,
Mm-hmm.
every pollinators, not just the bees, but every pollinators was in there. It was bumblebees and it was all
Wow.
such of yeah. It was really interesting to looking on this such a thing in there, and this is called green minura, and you could buy that. It's called Facilia. So
Hmm.
they
Yeah,
farmers
I'll
are
definitely
using
check that out.
for organic. Basically, they grew them up to the flowers point, and then they chop it up, and they basically sow it whatever they want after, or they want corn or whatever. They that could be grew in 3 4 times in a year. I'm going to start my one. If it not, I hope nothing go wrong with the temperatures in there in the mid of March. First of
Mm-hmm.
or maybe or second week of March, I would maybe try. I will see what the temperatures get up. So if the temperatures get up like 12, 14, I will be steady quite every day. Then I'm going straight away with this seed them up, and so make sure his bees got this for in May. In the May where we have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks could be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They will have something. They will
Huh.
have just done. They were just in the house. So it's something subject where a lot we're talking about a lot of things. We're talking about a lot of Varroa. We're talking about a lot of stuff about beekeeping. I'm really pleased. I learned a lot from YouTube. I have
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
couple of friends of beekeepers. One is Marius. Marius is quite well for me. It's he have a massive operation. He does around about 300 hives. 35 experienced beekeeper. It's a quite for me. This guy is really, he helped me a lot, and his another friend, he's as well. I thought he's doing really well as well, and a couple of different guys. And I follow heavily on Bob
Mm-hmm.
and Ian. Ian and Bob, for me, this is top operation. And
Yeah.
Cayman,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned actually from Cayman. If you believe me, no, through internet, I learned from YouTube from
Yep.
Cayman how to do grafting.
Yep.
how
That
is
that was where I learned. That's
how is
funny.
that?
So I watched his videos where he was grafting with a single nuke box, and I was
Yes.
like, I could probably watch this a couple times and figure this out. And within the first like two or three tries, like I was getting pretty good at grafting. I mean, I was yeah. So I actually learned from Cayman. So Cayman was a big influence in me learning grafting
Yeah.
very early on.
But I have watched game on, and then I was thinking, wow, I need to practice this a little bit. And I know
Hmm.
Cayman mentioned it, and everybody can't get this. But when I have this half no longer about 2 weeks ago live chat with Greg.
Uh huh.
Greg, he put a really good point in there, which
Mhm.
I know about this point, but a lot of people doesn't know.
Mhm.
People think anybody can do this. Of course, everybody can do. Anybody can learn this beekeeping or grafting or anything.
Mhm.
Even you could be doctor tomorrow if you.
Yeah, I
but
get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
but what the point is, like Greg mentioned, is the time. Everything is in timing, and it's so crucial in there, and a lot of people doesn't know what larvae you picking up. Which one you picking up, and that's correct one or not correct, and you worry about it. So I say the same. if anybody want to try it, guys. But
Yeah.
it's time. You could time now. Start spraying. You could get any frames. What you see, you could. That's what I done. I'm telling you, there's no how I done it. I took it first time frames. I got my equipment for grafting. I just took the frames. I not risky, just to how to pick it, the larvae.
Hmm.
And you do maybe you destroy 20 or 50, but that way, when actually season is starting and you actually already know how to pick it, you might actually be quite good in this because
Yeah.
you'll know which larvae you pick it. Because as soon as you come this season and you'll be like stressing, or maybe this, oh no, I mean, and then
Hoping that
and
you
then
didn't mess anything up and you scoop them right. Not. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Practice
how I
is
done it.
nice.
And but I learned from Cayman videos and like yourself, Rob. It's really interesting, and it's a beekeeping is about. So with the flowering wildlife, it is a huge for us for beekeepers. Imagine I was people thinking now we have the climate change and everything. Our bees have problem as well.
Hmm.
Our pollinators, beehives have problem. And I was listening. I know Ian do a lot work around this as well, and introduce for farmers how they should what they should doing and what they should using and everything. It's an incredible job what this guy does. It's just amazing. And this is where we should all of us, all of our beekeepers, we should show the farmers what they maybe not show them directly, but explain them, show them how to do what what benefit they do if they do using something
Right.
because all we don't have a lot of farmers growing and stuffs where the time come, the flow come, and there's a dead nothing 2 3 weeks and you have nothing because the bees can't bring in any pollen, they can't bring in anything. They just basically starvation coming again. Springtime between spring and summer, or some of part like in the France. I know Richard Norman mentioned in France, in like end of July or early August, they have nothing. Which that time in year August is really could be really good for the bees
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
if the
Right.
farmers or the beekeepers, if they have land, they could looking after. I believe something can be done. I know a lot of people are planting trees, but
Hmm.
if you ask him what trees do you plant, then they say, oh, oak or something. Well, that is a tree, that is a good tree, but it's not help anything to the pollinators. They do some help maybe for us for oxygen, but it doesn't do so good. What if you plant linden trees or some of the trees where it make a benefit for the beekeeping and for the all of the pollinators as well.
Right.
That's the key. And I see this is huge. A lot of beekeepers should look a little bit back and say, oh, if we start doing planting trees, or we start doing if we have little land and start in the backyard, like a server, you have something on your project already,
Hmm.
something seeded up quickly. Imagine you have 3 hectares or 4 hectares, you got the land in there. Imagine you put green manure for the facilia and you put sunflower there. For sunflower, I know take a long time to flowering,
Yeah. It does. It
but
does.
facilia, you will get twice facilia on that time when you had the flowering.
Wow.
Facilia will be flowering twice before you have sunflower. So imagine if you get Facilia, you get split the land 3 hectares for 1 hectare each. Say 1 hectare Facilia now, 3 weeks time or 4 weeks time, I'm going to give another 1 hectare of Facilia and then got sunflower already growing. So imagine you got 3 stages of Facilia are growing for your bees. And you have beehives just down the corner or next to them,
Right. Right.
which they're using this forage. And they're bringing you for to the honey and everything. They bring it to you, and you're building colonies on this because they will be just basically all the time they have the food, so they will be a lot powerful, a lot stronger. Imagine like you put. I'm not sure you. you ever been in? You have bees on rapesedoya, which is me. We have in the United States is what's it called?
Canola.
Yeah. You did you
I
have
I
ever?
I don't I don't in my area.
You done it, yeah?
No, I haven't. I
Yeah,
normally do. We normally do a lot of clovers and all that kind of stuff.
yeah. But do you see you if you get chance see how bees working on very on just like when canola start flowering
Okay.
and really the it's like in heavily in time how
Mhm.
the bees working. It's crazy. You could
Hmm.
not even stand in front of the hives because I did see this and it was we have last year for like 2 weeks nice weather and then cold coming for like 4 weeks and we have
Yeah.
bees didn't even move from the
Wow.
hives to the canola and they have probably say 20 50 meters maybe 50 say
Mhm.
50 meters so and they didn't even go and
Wow.
canola and it was really strange for me it was like what's going on
Wow.
so so that tell you a lot about but I believe we should all have beekeepers. If you have land, flowers, guys, seed the flowers, get the flowers out. Get your land, lead the bee flowering. Because I believe if you get 50 jars of honey from your back garden, and that can be done
Oh
in
yeah.
time,
Easily.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that 50 jars of honey worth more money, you buy some of your vegetables. You grow your vegetables in the back in your garden, and you support the bees. All of the pollinators around the area, and you make some massive benefit for your area,
Yep.
not just for
It's
your bees, but
beekeeping is so
yeah,
beneficial in that regard. You know, it can
absolutely,
at a hobbyist level, it's a hobby that can make you money. I mean, in all reality, you know, any hobby that
mm,
pays for itself, in my opinion, is a good hobby.
yeah,
It lets you experiment and that kind of thing, and being able to have funds from the hobby to
yeah,
then continue the hobby is really cool, and you're doing a great service to the environment around you.
yeah,
So yeah, beekeeping even at a hobbyist level is super beneficial.
yeah. A question for you, Rob, you did mention about you going to Greg
Mhm.
for the bees. I did
Mhm.
see videos of Greg's, quite few videos actually for last 2 years, for last year and a half. I actually I watched quite a few of them.
Mhm.
Um, so what are you going for? You going for the dark queens, dark bees, or carnolias, or
I'd like to go for the dark bees. He's got some that he says are like hit from his stock, which basically came in part from Bob Benny's stock.
mm,
That he took from some of Bob's old queens. So um I've heard incredible things about his bees, and it's time for us to expand just a touch. So I'm gonna go up and get some nukes from him probably in like April or so. Um, Basically, I just want his genetics. However if he classifies them as carniolan or what have you, like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay with me. It boils down to his genetics that he does in his queens that he sells in
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
yards. It's really pretty neat. So that's really I don't get too picky. I've done the Italians, I've done the Carniolans, I've gone into all that in my yards. But with going to Greg, he has
Special.
yeah, it's like this gray area of like
Is
what do
it
you call them because there's so
it's
many
called
iterations.
Greg Special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Greg Special. That's
yeah.
very
So
important because good genetic queens is very crucial. In UK, it's a lot in been importing queens because the climate what we have here,
mhm,
it's not much. If it's coming in the area where we have a lot of rain, you know yourself, you can't mate the queens.
right,
It's
right.
no chance. You'll be lucky, then you mate the queens, and if you're not lucky, then you will get nothing. You will have to buy some queens from imported. That's what they've been doing, importing queens for quite a few years. Well, for quite such a long time actually.
Where do you import
Um,
from? when you have to import?
They've been imported from Italy. They've been imported from Germany. They've been imported from Slovenia, if I remember that I'm right. There's some. I'm not sure if you know in the state that Carnolias, the queens, they're in Slovenia.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot then bring in any breakfast, any queens in the country.
Hmm.
So when I started with beekeeping, I was researching them because the first of my queen, it was a bubbly, or I would say it was
Mm.
a really bubbly queen. But I sought them out, and then I have Carnolia, and which is come from Slovenia.
Hmm.
That guy was important from Slovenia, which I have still now, if much you believe not.
Wow.
Cheese on a full horsepower. That base, it's wow. I'm planning that this year get her split, make a split from her, and I have two her daughters from last year, which I done it from her, and it was just really, and I done it really easy as well. But what I'm saying, it was interesting. I was reading a lot, quite a lot about this, and then I find out actually when I talked to the beekeeper, because I actually she speak the same language as me.
Mm-hmm.
So I this lady, and they are third generation beekeeping there.
Wow.
She is in the
Wow.
mountains. Incredible. Next time maybe I will try and get pictures. I'll put in there here.
Yeah, that'd be very
The
cool.
hives is just incredible. They're building like
Wow.
caravan, a huge caravan. Like well, it's not caravan, but it's similar thing. I'm not say it's like a big shed.
Okay.
It's stay in the mountains in there, very high in the mountains, like 1,000 meters up in above sea.
Wow.
That's yeah, and there's just the woodlands, everything woodlands in there, and there's bees in there, and
Wow.
it's all carnoli is there. And I asked this lady, and she said to me, "We in this country, we cannot bring any queens, any different lines of bees to this country. We will be fined a major amount of money to you if we will be bringing it." I was like,
Wow.
"Wow, wow, wow,
Wow.
wow!" So yes, they do a massive selection of carnolias, Slovenia. Uh,
That's
that's
very interesting. I didn't know that.
yes. I didn't know, but I start researching, and I did find
Right.
out they don't bring in any queens. So they have typical. So if you buy a queen from them, you know that is a Carnolius. That
Right.
is a pure
Right.
Carnolia queen. So like that lady, her dad was doing beekeeping for years. He's still alive. He's 87, I think, or isn't he close 90s anyway. They doing her husband and the daughter they doing beekeeping, and all of them. And when I was ask a question, she said to me, "So my dad was doing Carnolius, and his parents when they've been beekeeping." Back that days, they've been doing cardinal as the same queen, and from that point, they've never been changed a law in here. It's always
Wow.
cardinal lawyers. So you imagine why they are good. I know
Yeah.
why they're good because they're
Yeah.
living in the forestry.
Right. Right.
That's Slovenia is most in the mountains in the forestry around there. So the beekeeping over there is completely different. They have
Yeah.
short time. So if you want to get I believe if you want good flow of honey, you need to get really good queens and a really good selection queens to get really nice crop of honey if you want. We're talking here, we do splits, we do breeding queens and all this little bit
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
They do the same. They do queening queens in there as well, but they have the time. There's the window open tomorrow, and we know from tomorrow we could start do the queens and the splits. After that, we finish.
Right.
So
Right.
I know been people importing queen from them, but I didn't see recently for last 2 years from UK in UK. I didn't see them from that area. We have these. Maybe because the problem was with import and transport them here.
Mhm. Mhm.
But before I know they've been important. But like I
Yeah.
said, a lot of piece coming was coming in. Queens come from Italy. We have some big breeders breeding queens here. In Scotland, we have one big
Mhm.
one. It's couple big ones in there. Well, I'm basically breeding myself. I grafting, and I will bring in couple.
Hmm.
new lines like yourself. You're going to Greg,
Yeah.
but I
Right. Right.
will
Right.
focus on my one, quality ones, where they produce for me quite amount honey, and they're not. How does it say? You don't need to get double coats or even triple coats to get to the hives.
Right.
They're
Right. Right.
nice, calm. Most of my bees they come in. They're not bubbly, so I don't like
Hmm.
bubbly bees. As soon as the bubbly
Yeah.
bees come, is bee finish in
Right.
that same minutes. So, but it's the beekeeping. We have to get working in there. So,
Yeah.
all right, Rob. So, can you give a little bit more about this Vaporizer, if you could do it, and we will go for finish.
Yeah.
Nice chat.
Yeah.
So,
So the things that make our vaporizer different. One of the big things that people often mention to me. It's very hard for me to visualize because well, I made it, you know. So it's very
yeah,
hard for me to see these features. But one of the big things, numbers wise, is the heater element is 380 watts. The normal ones on the market are in the 250-watt range or something like that. At 120 volts, so you get a lot quicker heating time. You know, there's among other things of an all aluminum base, which you have, if I can get it in. So the all aluminum base runs all the way down. This one's sitting aside because I still have to heat shrink this. That's why it's
yeah,
still in the office. But so you get a lot of different perks along with all the customer service and all the parts and you know anything that happens. So we really take care of people. You know, the electronics we don't have the capabilities to make, so those are imported. But all the stuff that the black boxes, we mill all those in house. You know, we try and make it as rugged and durable as we can, just so that it lasts people. You know, I want beekeepers to have something that lasts for a good time and really, you know, is a quality product for their dollar. You know, nobody
absolutely.
really
Yeah,
has you know a lot of money to spend, so you put your money in your bees and you know, I see vaporizers as an investment. You know, whatever your mite treatment is, it's an investment. You're protecting your
absolutely.
other investment. So, you know, in the vaporizer world, the money will always be in the vaporizer. No matter who you buy from, it will always be in the vaporizer. The
Yeah,
oxalic acid per treatment is very affordable. You know, all things considered, but you know, there is a upfront cost that will deter people sometimes. So, that part is difficult, but you know, that's kind of the nature of the beast. But it's like a one-time investment. So you know, it's there's a lot of perks to it. The biggest thing is
yeah,
getting on some sort of schedule. Um, you know, and making sure that you're doing good treatments and you're sustaining those treatments long term.
yeah. So it's all about equipment because it's the same as beehives. You got beehives, you have bees, you have good quality bees, but then you don't have a proper equipment to using for Varroa, and this is what guys you need to look into if you um listen and watching Rob or just Rob as you say. It's really important. Good equipment, quality equipment. It's
Yep,
a
stuff that will
very
last you. You
yeah,
know, you want to buy
absolutely.
quality up front.
It's the same. If you buy a hive of bees, that's basically cost you, say, £400 or $400, $500. I'm not sure how much a full hive bees cost in the United States, but
Yeah.
I say here
Not too
£400.
far off for
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you don't treat them right in the right equipment and you don't treat them correctly, you might lose £400 or even more, and
Mhm.
you lose the hives, and that could be bankrupt basically, because
Yeah.
you didn't invest them for a right equipment, and that's important stuff,
Hey
isn't
Bruce.
it? Hi, Bruce.
Um
Oh, Bruce at work still. But yeah, but you're right. Equipment is really important, and I believe this virus is so important for air beekeepers, and they should look into beekeepers to get this, and also using and giving a nice feedback and nice review. So a
yeah.
lot of different beekeepers will see this benefit for beekeeping, and I believe that's how important is, because we all on the social media, we on YouTube and all that, we should share information and with other beekeepers, with other clubs,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I know it's important. So very, very important for me, and probably for everybody. People want treat for Varroa because
Yep.
some people want to say, "Oh, we don't need treat for Varroa. Varroa won't go itself out." No, don't think so.
Yeah, I mean the reality is those people uh, who do that, there's really only one way to do treatment-free bees. You can have bees that don't really they're pretty virus
Mm.
resistant. So you can get those genetics. But at the same time, it's like the mites are still going to be in the beehive. It's
Oh yeah,
just
absolutely.
if they're going to get deformed wing virus or something like
Yeah.
that from them, so the real way that people do it is extended like a long brood break,
Oh yeah.
and and I don't know about you, but I don't have time to do that. Don't want to cage my queens when they're at their peak, and even then, it's you still got to hit them with oxalic acid or something to kill the mites that are on the bees themselves. Because just because you're stopping them from being able to reproduce doesn't mean that you're actually reducing their numbers. So it's very hard, but at the end of the day, I don't want to lose bees. That's why
Yeah.
I treat. And
Yeah.
a lot of those people who say they're treatment free are okay with losing 40% of their hives, and they do more splits the next year, and they end up with the same number the next year, and that's what they do. So everybody has their own different perspective on beekeeping in that regard.
Absolutely. Like people say, you could ask 10 beekeepers, it'd be 10 different answers you will have,
Yes,
and 10 different options what you will do beekeeping. And then if you stand up and
exactly.
you're a beginner, I was like, what I'm going to do? I don't know. Did I
Yeah,
learn that on the courses? No, they didn't tell me this. So
yeah,
it's 10 questions, 10 answers, everyone different. So
yep,
that's the beekeeping, and just not the beekeeping. Actually, growing and have the same thing, and sometimes you could you really go wrong. So what I would say as well, um, question I have as well before we go off, um, I'm planning doing this year something where I did actually did watching Richard Nero from
oh yeah,
France,
yeah,
caging the queens.
yeah.
I will try to do a couple of highs, just a couple.
Hmm.
Just I'm not going to test all of my highs because
Hmm.
that might not work for me. But I could see this is the um, biggest future for the beekeeping. Richard does how you say Richard does probably done about 200 highs plus,
Hmm.
and he been caging every single queen, and he actually gave this. So it's really interesting. How he done it, and I don't know. Did you watch that video of his
I
update?
I don't know if I've seen that one. I have seen ones in the past of him caging queens. I don't know if we're speaking of the specific one, but I'll
Yeah,
have
he
to go
did.
back to where he cages all of them.
Yeah, but he done it. He done it actually amazing because I know I was watching and results. He was so pleased with the results coming on because he actually But uh, in Poland they have they produce cages.
Hmm.
So basically it's cage for one frame.
Oh,
So
okay. So she
so
can
it,
still lay, but she's only confined to one
yes.
frame worth of space.
Yes, and you could trick this out just a little bit different. You could give um, half com basically. Um, so the frame you will give her, you will be probably half 50-50
Hmm.
with already a drawn by bees. So she will be not up. She will not laying so much. Basically, if you give
But
her a
just
nice
enough to like keep her active, basically.
yeah, keep her active, just to make sure you keep her active for their 2 weeks, and then if you hit them properly, you will basically wipe off a, a really good a percentage of Varroa. That cages is my the key to get them here. I know we could get them here, so I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that on the US market right now they're coming on there. I know because I know who produced them, and I know he's actually signed something. They're going to United States. They've been testing them in United States already. There,
Hmm.
they are
Well.
yeah, yeah. I will send you details later on. I
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
here. But I will put the details on the video as well, so everybody could look in on these cages. They are really popular in beekeeping in Poland. They do a lot beekeeping in
I
Poland,
think I
Varroa.
think Fred held one up in Castle Hive's live chat. He had a half frame queen cage that got inserted. It may have been a demo from your friend or something different or similar, but it was the same kind of concept where she could run the whole frame.
So
Um,
this people is a part of family business, and
mhm,
they doing massively for run the world, not just to Europe, run the world.
mhm, mhm,
In most of the countries in the world, they do this major cages.
mhm.
They do queen excluders.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they do a lot of things for a beekeeping industry that are typical. This business is typical for just for the beekeeping.
Mhm.
So they do, and then the cages they. So if you prefer them, say you want this cages like size of this, and you want order from them 500, they will make you typical one for that
Yeah.
size what you requested.
Oh,
So
that's
there's not
cool.
a yeah. So it's not so they not make him something where right this is Langstrot, this is something that
Mhm.
sizes we make him. If you request Rob, you want 50 by 50, that's how you will get exactly what you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
requested. They will give you. So
Mm.
exactly, this is something where you're doing with the Varroa. They they do a lot Cajun Queen in Poland. I know they do.
Mhm.
A friend of mine, he actually told me back in Poland, he said to me, like I did mention, 50-50 frame draw,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
could put in there. So the queen is a little bit active, but there's a not like massive amount of brood, and you actually whatever is left in the hives, you will wipe off in time when you do. Because I mentioned him to him about Richard video, and he said yes, I did see the video. It's really good, but I will give you something where actually the queen is active for the 2 weeks. It's really crucial. She's
Yeah.
active.
Yeah. Right. Because it's all about the acceptance when you let her go again. Because
Yes.
it. I think if I now it's been a while since I've introduced a queen that hasn't been in a nuke, but I do believe that because I actually made pressing cages like how you're describing where she has
Mm.
some cells but she's caged, and you basically the acceptance rate is a lot higher into the hive if she has been laying, but it takes her a couple days to get laying into that hive when she's been shipped or something like that.
Yeah.
um so I would assume it's the same mentality, even though her pheromone would already be in the hive. So I would lean on the side that they wouldn't necessarily get rid of her, but how good would things be after that? I don't know. I just haven't really done that too much.
It's for the Varroa, I would say, get the equipment, guys, and that's what I would say. Get the right equipment. We have right bees, we have right highs, but we need an equipment. So we have the man here called Rob.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So thanks Rob for having a nice chat, and
Yeah. Yeah. This was fun.
have a nice evening. Nice to chat with you, and
Yeah.
we never talked to you before, and now we we maybe in future we have more chats. And so
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
nice one anyway, and have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Have
guys.
a good one.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Brian, and thanks everyone who watched it. See you
Have a good one.
later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.